Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I bring to you Cookie Clicker. So, this is kind of the granddaddy of all clicker slash idle games. Right now, you can see me going through and playing with the settings a little bit. And yes, I used the fact that this is off of Steam to download an auto clicker so that, no risk of carpal tunnel with it. Now, look, I'll just be blunt with you. Unless you're going for world records, and I would be willing to bet some of them actually allow for the use of auto clickers, there's not really a massive point in not playing this game with one, or any other clicker game, especially if they're available to you. Like, clicking thousands of times over and over and over again, doing it manually, doesn't really prove anything other than you don't actually care about the connective tissue in your hands. But anyway, this is the game that started all of this trend. And it's not super massive for a lot of people. Most of you probably remember this as something that you played on a computer while you were at school, or played on your phone while you were at school. Just something to pass the time in the background, because it doesn't really require any thought, so you can kind of listen to what someone else is saying while you're playing it. But this game has an insane amount of depth to its backstory. Like, there's a whole multi-video series going over the lore and the weird sort of post-apocalyptic implications of the game. And yeah, I know that sounds absolutely insane. That's what I thought too. I'm not going to dive into the lore. I barely know any of it. But yeah, there's lore to Cookie Clicker. Now, as far as the game actually goes, this embodies a lot of what people really tend to like about idle games and incremental progress games. There's a consistently increasing number of things that you can buy to boost your resource generation. There's a lot of more permanent upgrades that you can see sort of at the top. If you look over to the right, you can actually see the production systems that you can buy. And at the top are what are the equivalent of passive talents, although this does still have a sort of talent system in it. There's actually multiple systems in this that are layered pretty deep. Now, granted, I don't know how many of these systems actually carry over to the mobile version and how many of them were back in the browser-based version. This is like a $5 version off of Steam, which, as far as I'm concerned, means it's complete. There's no ads in it. That's one of the reasons why I was willing to pay $5. Like, if you're playing the mobile version, there's all sorts of things linked into ads, but this one doesn't have any. If you look in the very top of the section where the cookies are actually coming down, there's a little banner. That's a buff that when you unlock a particular system gives you a boost to production based on how many people are concurrently playing the game. At a later point, not quite up yet, there's an item that pops up in the stats section that are sugar plums, I think they are. They grow, you harvest them, and you can use them to actually passively boost the resource generation in each area, as well as generating a mini game in some of them. There is actually the little legacy thing there that lets you basically unlock talent points for prestiging that you can use to boost your production for each successive prestige. There's a ton of depth. Now, the only problem I really have with Cookie Clicker is it actually takes a decent amount of time to get far enough in, generate enough resources to start tapping into a bunch of these other systems. So you see one of the early flaws with Cookie Clicker that a lot of later incrementals deal with. Progress is pretty consistently slow in Cookie Clicker. I'm sure there's an optimal route to investing in resources that I just don't take. But it takes a while to actually build up enough resources to be worthwhile to build into anything. And it takes an even longer amount of time to actually get enough passive regeneration going that you can jump way up into the charts very quickly with each prestige. More modern incrementals tend to give you more consistent feel of progress, even if they take days to get through. A lot of them give you really good bursts where you make a ton of progress in a relatively short time. You wait just a little bit, and you can get those bursts going with some relative frequency. There is golden cookies in this, and there's a few other systems where it'll rapidly boost your resource generation, but they only tend to give you a temporary leg up. Like if you use the golden cookies in this to save up and get whatever the current maximum item is at the moment. You might not be able to get enough of them before the golden cookie runs out to really significantly boost your production. It does boost it, but it still takes a while to get to where you're boosting enough to buy that max one if you have to use a golden cookie to get to it. So progress in it is quite a bit slower than what it is with other incrementals. So let's go ahead and I'll passively boost ahead a little bit and show you what it looks like after you pumped a couple hours into the game. All right, so with just a little bit of progress, about 72 hours worth of progress, this is where you can build yourself up to. I have prestiged a couple times, and at this point, instead of milk, I have blood. I'm pretty sure strawberry milk is what the upgrade actually listed as. But yeah, pretty satisfying. Boost your resource generation up to the point where getting 1,000,000,000 cookies is not that difficult to do. And get close to the point of being able to actually do another prestige, grab a couple more points, and boost baseline generation. It's a pretty addictive little game, but it's not as hooking as a lot of the other incrementals are, like magical archery, fun, built, beat it within an hour. Same guy has a demo out for his next one, which is called Wizard Tower, which I'm going to do a video on here soon. Right now, the demo takes a little less than an hour to beat. Still sort of fun. This one, the OG. Realistically, you can download this, test it out for free on your phone. So if you're really curious what a clicker game or an incremental progress game is like, as long as you keep in mind that this is the equivalent of just basic Mario compared to things like modern day Mario Odyssey, then in comparison between this and more recent clicker or incremental progress games, then you'll go in with the sort of right mindset to be able to test it out and see whether or not you like it. If this one sort of scratches an itch, but you're like, it's still not quite satisfying, then dig up some more recent ones. More recent ones are better. And by the way, here's a golden cookie going, so you can see resource generation really flies way up. I'm pretty sure at this point it goes 7 times the rate of normal. But anyway, most clickers have something equivalent to that, but it happens with a little bit more regularity and gives you a little bit better sense of progress. So anyway, I just thought to myself, since I was doing incrementals, that I needed to at least have one small nod to Cookie Clicker, which started it all. So here it is. If you've never seen it, free to try on cell phone, cheap to try on a PC. You could probably still find a Java version out there on the internet somewhere. I know you can also play it on a Chromebook, I believe. I actually think a couple of my students were managing to bypass the block systems and still play it at my school. And my school actually has a pretty robust internet filtration system. So take that as you will. Anyway, I hope you all have a good night. I hope you've at least found it entertaining to take a look at this original one. And we'll go to a little bit more in-depth videos, starting with the next one. Have a good night. And remember, if I can beat it, so can you.